Dustin, let's talk. Somebody is an entrepreneur. They're finding themselves in that place. They're balancing the coaching calls with the content creation, with the family life, with the friends, with all the things. What would be maybe one thing? Let's just start there. What would be one thing that you would say, implement this, and this is going to help you a ton? I know you have a bunch of frameworks, but maybe find one that you'd be like, this is where I like to start with most people.
Well, I was randomly kind of cleaning off my desk here as we were getting started with this recording, and I picked up this notepad of that I'm the nerd that will, like, if something doesn't exist, I'll create it so that I can use it. Like, I need the tool. Um, and what I wanted a few years ago, when I was using, not even a few years ago, like last year, I used the full focus planner a lot. I still use
Mm.
it every now and then, but one thing
Oh,
that I
this
wanted,
one, Dustin?
that's the one. One thing that I wanted to have in there that I used to just take a post-it note and slap it on in there and move it every day was what my weekly big three was.
Mm, this is
Because
good.
you kinda write that at the beginning of the week if you're familiar with the full focus planner, but then you turn the page and you get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that page is 4 or 5 pages behind, and it's not in front of you anymore.
Yeah.
And so I used to take a stick, like just a regular Post-it note and write those big 3 on there. Then I would also underneath it, I would write, uh, "These are, these are the tasks that I'm gonna do this week to get closer to my goals."
Mm,
And I think this one little notepad has been a game changer. Even when I'm not using full focus, I still fill it out every week and I'll leave it stuck on my desk or I'll stick it on the cover of my Remarkable or whatever. But
yeah,
I'll try to show it on the screen if it'll focus on it. I don't know if it will or
yeah.
not. Um, but it just
There
says,
it is.
yeah, just says big three at the top of it. So it's the week's big three and then goal tasks underneath it. So my advice would be to just pick three things.
It's amazing.
If you're overwhelmed, I mean, this is not a Dustin principle. This is a Michael Hyatt full focus principle, but
For
this
sure.
is how I use it. Um, just pick the three things that you're like, in order for me, like forecasts, right? So if you don't have time on Sunday night after the kids go to bed, get up early Monday morning before they get up. If they get up at 5, then you get up at 3. Just figure it out.
Yep.
It's just a season. It's gonna pass. Trust me.
Mm, that's
So
good to hear. Can you say that again,
yeah,
please?
it's just a season. It'll pass.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
but embrace it while it's here, because then it's a whole different set of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, either way, like there's a bunch of stuff, but forecast whenever you're sitting down to begin thinking about the week, whether it's Sunday night or Monday morning or whatever. Just start forecasting, like, hey, in order for me to close the lid on my laptop on Friday afternoon
Mm,
and crack a beer, like before I do that, like or when I get to that point,
yeah,
what will have to have happened in order for me to feel like this was a good, successful week in the business? Because
yeah,
that's what we're talking about here is the business, right? So what's a good so in that's where I get my big three from, right?
yeah. That's huge.
Hey, there's only three spots. You might have five or six things listed, but okay, now I got to get ruthless
Yep.
and go, okay, I got six things that I really think that are the most important, but let me instead narrow those down to three.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
and
Yeah,
Dustin,
there's a
what
bunch of ideas floating around in my head, but since I had this notepad in front of me at the time
no,
that you
that's
asked me,
that's
that's
perfect. That's perfect. And I think even if you just started there, what is happening when you do this, which is what you didn't necessarily teach me this, but this is kind of a subset of what you brought in a couple of years ago was
yeah.
you taught me to be intentional. And I think that that is what a
Yeah.
little tool like that allows us to do. Because if anybody out there's mind works like mine, it's I sit down and I go, well, I got a few things written down here that I need to do today, but then you open your email and somebody's emailed you, a client maybe asks a question, so you respond to that, and then all of a sudden that leads you over here to this other thing, and you start to do that a little bit, and you're like, crap, I was supposed to do this checklist today. So you go back to your checklist and then okay, you start working on that again, but then you get distracted because your phone rings, and then now all of a sudden it's like now you go back to maybe creating content or looking on social media for inspiration or like and you're rambling, walking around the wilderness trying to pick up
Mhm,
things and you never get
mhm.
anything done. And so
Yep.
what the big three allowed me to do, and and I'm gonna admit I'm not always perfect at keeping it in front of me. So sometimes I get to the end of the
Same.
week and go, "Oh crap, what were my big 3? Did I happen to do them? I don't." But what the big 3 allows you to do is to be intentional on your week. And
Mhm.
that is often what a lot of us miss, myself as the chief, the chief, what's the word? I I I break that rule all the time, the chief rule breaker. I do that every single time where it's just like, I'm not intentional. The kids will be running around upstairs. I go upstairs to kinda help calm everybody down, and then the next thing I know, I'm somewhere else and not doing what is in front of me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the big 3 allow you to be intentional. And something that I've done with the big 3 that you've helped me kind of understand is looking at, there are certain times that you gotta work on those for clients, but then there's other times that you have to work on the business, right? So in my big 3, I try to say, what is something that's working on the business? What's something that's like on the business and client adjacent, and then maybe a client deliverable?
I love
It's
that.
kind of how I walk it through.
Yeah, I
I
love
know
that.
you tie them into your goals often. So it's like if you're trying to hit certain things, how does that tie into that? But
Mhm.
that's something that I've tried to say is like,
I love
okay,
that.
I know that I have to record a podcast this week for the business, right?
Mhm,
That's not
mhm,
helping clients per se, right? Like a client deliverable, but this is something that's going to help move the business forward, but will always be, those things are always the first things that come off the to-do list,
mhm.
right?
Yep,
They're
yep.
always the first things to fall off. So when you write them down as your big 3, you go, I have to do those this week. And now you start to find yourself intentional on what you do as you move forward. And it's just a beautiful thing.